All right, welcome everyone to the Phoenix Report. I'm Jack Connor, and all you wrestling fans, it's that time again. It is SummerSlam, the biggest party of the year, or of the summer, whatever their tagline is now. Probably where it all begins again. Maybe they'll make up something else that doesn't really make sense. But yeah, it's SummerSlam weekend. It's the second biggest weekend of the year for WWE and for really all of professional wrestling. Let's be honest. We are here to cover both NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2 and SummerSlam 2016. As we record this, it is the Monday after. It is Monday, August 22nd, 2016, and with me as always, the professor, Cory Wilson, C-Dub for Chronocord. How you doing?
Doing fantastic, man. It's been a great weekend of wrestling. Looking forward to discussing it.
Absolutely. I apologize for that horrendous intro, but it's like, I'm still kind of processing everything. Thankfully, as we're doing this right now, it's 8 p.m. Eastern, so I'm sure you'll be updating us with what's going on with Raw right now. I'm not even watching, but I know you're probably watching it on mute or whatever.
Yeah, I've got it on mute here. Raw is opening with the new, of course, we're going to get into it, WWE Universal Champion Finn Balor.
Yes, of course.
Apparently, big breaking news here. He's apparently injured his shoulder. He's in the ring right now, cutting a promo that I assume is to vacate the championship.
Probably.
Finn Balor getting the big call-up, and unfortunately his body failing. What a shame.
It's definitely a bittersweet moment for sure. And to add a little color commentary, we have sort of the Lord Alfred Hayes to my Gorilla Monsoon, or the Bobby Heenan. I'm not even sure. I'm completely lost on the metaphors right now. But we have the ultimate keyboard warrior himself, Brian Connolly.
Indeed. What's up?
No, how dare you? No, not yet.
Well, I accept the Lord Alfred Hayes comparison gladly.
Of course. So it wouldn't be a podcast with you without a reference to Lord Alfred.
Right.
And joining us on the panel is a guy you probably have heard in the supplemental features back when we did. Really the last time we did a wrestling thing was back in WrestleMania in April. This guy attended the last WrestleMania. He's attended the last couple WrestleManias. He is the co-host of the Music Speaks podcast all the way from Stowe, Ohio. Please welcome Curt Braden.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be
sorry
here.
about... glad you're here, man. Sorry about the long-winded intro. Normally I have stuff written down,
good.
but it's just a lot of stuff to process right now. I mean, there's so much stuff, we can barely keep up with it, and clearly I'm not keeping up with it. By the time this comes out, this will be old news, I know. But I wanted to do something like this, get a bunch of us together and talk about the event, man. Quite a weekend of wrestling.
Absolutely. I mean, your intro definitely wasn't as long as SummerSlam, that's for sure. But
That is true. That went on for quite a while, and we're not even counting the pre-show.
Nope.
But we started off, WWE has been doing basically a 4-night stand at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which is crazy. Second year in a row, almost like a modern day like Trump Taj Mahal situation. That's timely. So they had the second NXT Takeover Brooklyn was there. It was there in the Barclays Center. It was on Saturday, and without getting into it, I think we started off the night with Austin Aries versus No Way Jose.
Yes, the party started early in Brooklyn.
I got to tell you, No Way Jose might be my favorite guy in NXT right now. I wouldn't, well, maybe I wouldn't go that far, but I just love that gimmick so much. It just brings a smile to my face every time I think of No Way Jose. The ring name, the whole persona is just so balls out ridiculous that I love it. I love every bit of it.
Yes.
Makes me angry.
It does? Well, why is that?
Because everything does.
Well, yeah, but I just didn't know if there was a specific reason, or you're just...
I'm just kidding. I have no qualms.
No.
I do think that No Way Jose, perhaps down the road, there's a lot of room for him to just flip out after all this dancing and smiling and finally turn into, like, no way, like, you're not going to beat me, no way, Jose.
Right.
And go the whole villain route. I think that would be fantastic at some point.
You're saying Jose will say no way to all this goofy shit they've been having us do.
Hey, I mean, down the road, if it doesn't work out, he could do something like that, perhaps.
But yeah, I mean, but he's in there with a major player in Austin Aries, and anyone who's followed his career knows that this guy's for real. He's a cruiserweight who works like a heavyweight, really. He's, Austin Aries, the greatest man who ever lived, as they call him. It's quite a ballsy nickname, but those two had a really good match, I thought.
Yeah, it was a nice opener. Good energy. I mean, Austin Aries is really a veteran at this point, ring general. And I think it's good for Jose to be in there working with a guy like Austin Aries. He's definitely going to learn a lot and get a big rub from working with him.
Absolutely, and I think both guys came off really well in that. Even Jose ended up losing by submission, but I don't think that hurts him in the least. I think people are taking him a little more seriously. Even though he has a fun gimmick, he knows when to fire up, at the right time.
Definitely.
Gotcha. Curt, do you have any thoughts on this opening match?
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. Austin Aries, I think he really, because of him being, kind of the veteran and that stuff, he really made No Way Jose have a pretty good match, because he's still pretty much the character that everybody is liking. And I think that, the more he has matches with guys like Austin Aries is going to make him, kind of develop that, I'm not just all, just dancing and stuff. I'm going to actually wrestle and be a legitimate contender eventually. So I think this match was really good. Just for him in general, it was a good way to start the pay-per-view for sure.
Absolutely. I like the conga line around the ring too.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch.
Definitely.
That was kind of funny. Yeah, you got to put that over.
Yeah. Wow. High praise from from Brian. Moving on, we had the debut of Ember Moon. I hadn't really heard a lot about this girl.
Forgot about the GTS at the end of that Austin Aries match.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Of course, we had a run-in by Hideo Itami in there.
That was the highlight of that match for me.
That's right. I completely forgot. I'm just reading the results right now. But yeah, no.
Right as the crowd started chanting GTS, they immediately got what they wished for, which was awesome.
Gotcha. Now they had mentioned on the commentary that Hideo Kenta he had invented the move,
yes.
the GTS. Yeah. Is that true, Cory?
Yes, 110%. Kenta was the innovator of the GTS, and CM Punk basically borrowed it from him as a tribute.
Gotcha. That's interesting to know. Hideo is another one of those guys who he had been injured for a while. He had been on the shelf for almost a year, so it's really good to see him back. You got to give credit. They're really embracing a lot of these international stars and a lot of these people who have made their name elsewhere. I remember when NXT started, I think the big worry was that, well, they're all just going to have homegrown guys and they'll all be the same, and that really hasn't been the case.
No, I don't think so, at least. I know that was kind of a complaint in the whole Randy Orton, John Cena, Batista era, where you had guys coming from OVW that a lot of the guys that they had were really cookie cutter, but I think that's a big strength for NXT, just the fact that they have so many different gimmicks, so many different people from different walks of life and different skill sets, most importantly in the ring. And
I think that was also a concern in the late 2000s. And Brian, you would work there as a referee for a little bit with FCW under Steve Kern. That was like sort of the mindset. And I don't know, Brian, if you can speak to that at all from your time there.
About who now?
Well, I mean, just in the fact that it's like they didn't really want to work with too many people who have made their name elsewhere. They wanted to kind of create their own stars, more or less, and just get the bodybuilder types.
Yeah, that was actually just at the beginning when they were starting to go around the world and sign guys like Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. That was just the beginning, and Wade Barrett. But yeah, there really wasn't too much of the international flavor down there. That was very early. I was there at the very beginning of FCW, and then it evolved into NXT, and it's hard to believe. Essentially, I did work in the earliest version of NXT, just how far it came from then to now. It's unbelievable, especially with the representation of Japan, which people always thought he wouldn't be able to accurately. Vince wouldn't be able to make stars out of anybody from Japan, and that's really not the case anymore either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're certainly doing well in NXT. Remains to be seen how it'll be when they get called up to the main roster, but that, again, time will tell on that one. But speaking of people who have made their name elsewhere, what I had heard about Ember Moon, I wasn't really familiar with her at all. Let's see, her real name is Adrienne Reese. Apparently she had worked in the independent circuit. I think she had worked in Shimmer, maybe ACW, Women's Superstars, Uncensored, and a couple other indie feds that mainly focused on women. I know Shimmer, I think, is probably the most high profile part of that. Were any of you guys familiar with her coming into this?
I wasn't, but I'd heard some buzz about her. I'd heard some people that were really anticipating it. So I'd figured after taking a look at a little bit of her story that she was probably one of the top prospects out of Shimmer, which really at this point is the premier all women's indie promotion. But I gotta say, I was pretty impressed in this match.
Oh yeah,
she's got a good look. She's absolutely stunning.
She reminds me a lot of like Jackie Moore's personality with like Jazz's body type.
To me, she just came out there and, I mean, she obviously smiled and looked pretty, but she kicked ass, and that's the biggest thing you can do on a big debut like that.
I think
Booker T helped train her for a little bit in Houston. I thought they mentioned something about Booker T possibly being one of her trainers. I don't know if that's true or not. I could be completely wrong.
I think what I heard was she was trained by Glacier from WCW.
Really?
No,
really?
Not at all.
Okay. Really? Why? Was the Stro not available?
No, I just thought that entrance was very Mortal Kombat-esque, and that's what Glacier failed.
No, you know what? I remember now who it was. They said that she was, I think, I could be wrong here. I think I heard them say that she was trained by Mr. Hughes. Was that right? I remember somebody at some point saying.
Yeah, I think it was the next match.
Was it? Okay, yeah. I knew that I heard somebody make a Mr. Hughes reference.
Or it could have been that one, because, JBL said, I wonder if she was trained with the glasses on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was later on in SummerSlam when they were talking about Apollo Crews.
That's who it was, Apollo.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All right. See, there's only 7 hours of wrestling that week.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest, but actually I'm finding out her Ember Moon's opponent, Billie Kay, was also in Shimmer as well.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Right on. We're all learning.
Did anyone feel like she had a little Awesome Kong look to her as well? Just a smaller version?
Yeah, a little bit.
Bit, right?
I might have been that weird little dress thing.
Yeah, right.
Possibly. Kind of like a wild Samoan thing happening
all
there.
Kinds of things going. But the stunner from the top rope was amazing.
Oh, the finisher.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was cool. Never seen that before, and I'm all for that.
Absolutely. Anytime, you can surprise an old mark like us with something fancy like that, hey, all right, you've won me over as a fan. So
now you're on the radar.
Yep.
Absolutely. And the next, we finally had the NXT debut of Bobby Roode. If there's only one word I could think to describe that, what could it be? Stupendous? No. Fabulous? No.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's the one they repeated.
Fortune?
20 times.
Jack, I have to, of course, put you on the spot here. A lot of people calling out the obvious Queen and Muse.
Oh my God!
Absolutely.
It's definitely, I have to ask you as a Queen fan. Of course, you're going to see that.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's the influence in there, and I always think whenever anyone refers to talks about Queen, they automatically think high vocals, and that was the only thing they did. But that's a whole nother topic.
Darkness gets a lot of Queen comparisons. The band.
Right. But I mean, yeah, it definitely sounded very like Darkness, very almost more Muse, really.
Yeah. Well,
but that was very much by design. I mean, there was an interview with the guys who CFO $, whatever their name is.
CFO Kesha $.
Yeah, whatever.
$, huh?
The CFOs, I guess. I don't know.
I think it is CFOs, like Chief Financial Officers.
Yes.
Right. But okay, it's supposed to be an S, but it's got it.
Well,
that's amazing.
Johnson, man, he was the man back in the '80s. But
Yeah. I guess they're sort of the heirs apparent to Jim Johnson's position.
They're
But no,
doing pretty
but
good.
I mean, I saw in an interview that they said that they were very much going for the Queen Muse vibe for Bobby Roode's thing, and it works. I mean, he's definitely built his character around it. It's definitely a slight variation on what he was doing in TNA. It just he reminds me so much of Triple H.
Yeah,
Definitely.
It's certainly in body type, even like his character.
He would be an evolution if it was still existed.
Yes.
Absolutely, very Ric Flair influenced. Which makes sense. I mean, he worked with Ric Flair in TNA. Bobby Roode, huge. I think he had worked with WWE in like dark matches or in the early 2000s and like Velocity and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture of him.
I don't know if he had any WCW interaction early in his career. I mean, he might have been around towards the end of it, or because I think Storm was in there for a little bit.
I think he just missed the boat with because Bobby Roode was trained by Scott D'Amore up in Canada,
Right.
and I know that D'Amore had a couple of guys there at the end of WCW, but I think they kind of just missed each other in that case. But I do remember that Velocity match you're talking about, and I gotta say, Bobby Roode sporting a look very similar to the Beverly Brothers from the WWF.
Oh yeah,
Very, very suspect.
Was he back then? I would have to go and see that.
Yes, it's definitely a
Sure.
fun little Easter egg.
Definitely, I'll have to go back and check that out. I'm sure they'll be posting that on the network and all that other stuff. But yeah, I mean, the guy came in super over, no surprise, because he was a major star in TNA for years. He was the longest. He had the longest running world championship reign in the company's history.
Yes.
And a lot of tag team titles with James Storm. I mean, he was a big deal. So it's and it's no surprise he's over as soon as he comes in, and it's like kind of like what Chris Jericho says. It's like if you can get over one place, you can get over anywhere, and that's kind of what he did.
I think he'll be a easy plug and play if they should decide to put him on the main roster, which I think that's got to be the ultimate destination for him.
I'm sure Triple H likes him. I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah.
He certainly acts like like I said, he reminds me a lot of it in terms of body type and his character and just personality and work style, the whole deal.
Well, his style is definitely a lot more traditional, and I think that you can definitely tell how it stood out in the rest of the card and the fact that it was definitely slower paced. It was more some traditional moves. I wasn't crazy about him having that pump handle bomb. What was he calling it? The Glorious Bomb, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of
And
weak.
I'm like, I don't know.
It might have been the Rude Bomb back in TNA.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
But
it was
then,
the same move or not.
Right. And I heard Vince Russo, I guess he was saying like, oh, Bobby Roode, he should be on the main roster already. And I'm just like, I don't know about that, but I think you need to kind of build his character there first. And obviously I think it's going to go really well just because people were soaking it up. So
It'll happen.
It shouldn't take too long. It should take like a couple
Yeah,
years.
I mean, he's got the experience. He's going to do well. And
Well, why do you suppose AJ Styles went straight up to the main roster instead of NXT? Like, what separates the two, AJ and Bobby Roode? 'Cause they're both as good.
maybe AJ had a better manager. I don't know. He must have a better agent
That's just
behind
one of
the
those
scenes.
things
I don't know.
that, you can never really predict. He obviously I agree with the decision to get to AJ to the roster immediately because boy was he ready.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like that year or so that AJ spent in New Japan, just based upon the quality of matches he was having every single time he went out there, to me at the time, between him and Nakamura, those two were really the number one prospects. If I'm booking WWE and calling shots, I would have went for those guys for sure.
Revitalize his career, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, and again, and Nakamura goes to NXT because he's got to learn.
Well, AJ's kind of a bigger star. In the States.
In the States, definitely.
For now, whether that remains to be seen. It's no knock on Nakamura. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway, yeah, Bobby Roode had a pretty good match against Andrade Cien Almas, which is kind of a mouthful. Formerly known as La Sombra in Mexico.
The Shadow.
Yeah. Which it's a shame he didn't keep that gimmick. That would have been kind of a cool name.
I don't know
with the
anything
mask and
about
all
that guy, so seeing him come out It's pretty.
Yeah, he used to work in CMLL and mainly based in Mexico, but he's been around for a little bit. I think that was his first defeat. I don't think Andrade Cien Almas had been defeated up to that point. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I know that they've been pushing him, giving him a little push here in recent times.
Right.
But really, I mean, right now there's a huge void within WWE to replace the top tier Hispanic superstar that was Rey Mysterio for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a lot of great prospects right now between NXT and the Cruiserweight Classic. So, there's a bright future for guys like that. No Way Jose, guys who are bilingual.
Sure.
And,
Kalisto.
Well, the problem with Kalisto is, from what I understand, his Spanish, he's essentially as American as you and I.
Right. Yeah, that's right. He's from like Michigan or something.
What about Alberto Del Rio? He's doing pretty well these days, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yes,
not
a
right.
hell of a vacation.
He was until about a week ago.
I'm kidding. He's
yeah, we know.
sarcasm that cannot be detected all the time, but yeah, he's getting into a little bit of trouble right now with.
I don't know what that's all about, and I guess took Paige with him, so that's weird.
I assume it's her fault. She's the spark plug of the bunch.
Yeah, Del Rio definitely in the WWE Casa del Perro right now.
Yeah, he really doesn't like dogs.
Casa del Perro.
Yeah,
I like that.
Constantly calling people dogs he doesn't like. I don't know. I guess maybe he's more of a cat guy. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, Bobby Roode went over on that one. The next one we had was the tag team championship match, the Revival, Dash and Dawson versus Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
There's another
Tommaso Ciampa.
Ciampa.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Ciampa.
We know who you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys know who I'm talking about.
Johnny Wrestling, I love it, Margo.
Margo. No more of that. There's no more Margo.
Can I just say something about it? I mean, I like Gargano and Ciampa. Johnny Wrestling, that's your nickname? That is
Johnny
the worst.
Baseball. We got Johnny Baseball, Johnny Wrestling,
Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
I mean, look, these guys are great workers, no doubt. They've been killing it in the Cruiserweight Classic, all that other stuff. Great workers. They seem to be decent promos. They look so generic, though.
Yeah, that was my beef with this match. Was just 4 what Kevin Nash would refer to as vanilla midgets.
But
they're not. They just on the surface.
No, I mean they're good. I'm not taking anything away from them, but just that drives me insane. The Johnny Wrestling thing. Really.
I would say the Revival. Are they not like a throwback to? That's why they're called the Revival, I imagine, to like an old school style.
Yeah, no, I mean, for them it works for them.
So
they
kind of look like a little bit like the Brainbusters, which they would go perfect with Bobby Roode in Triple H's new Evolution.
Yes,
with another member to be named. I
think you're onto something there. You're basically just short the big Barry Windham or Sid Vicious, Lex Luger heater.
There's a missing maybe Braun Strowman. Can't say that.
Braun Strowman in a suit with a nice.
I just know Vince is gonna find a way to get Braun Strowman involved in any hot angle.
Sure.
Damn, look at him. He's big.
Strong.
Look how vascular he is.
He's a strong man. Brawny strong man.
All right. Calm down, Vince.
He's gonna puke. No, he's not.
All right. All right. Well, I'm glad Vince could make the hot tag and come in on this one. That's always nice to hear from the chairman.
Well, too, with the Revival too, though, they're so good. Like just how going back to traditional tag team, like they do things that none of the new generation of tag teams do anymore. Like they cut the ring in half like you're supposed to. Their timing is perfect just to come in and break things up or just get the perfect timing to like prevent them from tagging in. I mean, it's really amazing how good they are at just traditional tag team wrestling. I mean, they're really, really awesome.
Definitely. I mean, and you believe it when it comes to them. It's kind of like the Kevin Owens thing. They're not, the most defined, they don't look like super athletes, but they look like they could just punch you right in the mouth.
Right.
Jack, if you haven't been following the Cruiserweight Classic,
I have.
Gargano and Ciampa had a hell of a match in the first round.
They did. They had a great match against each other. That was awesome. And again, I'm not, burying Gargano and Ciampa as well. It's just, it was just the Johnny wrestling thing which just got on my nerves for some reason. But great match though.
Yeah.
Great match though. And I'm surprised the Revival went over. I really thought Gargano and Ciampa were gonna get the win on this one.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me as well, but I think maybe if they were to up the stakes a little bit, I don't think we've seen a tag team ladder match in NXT yet. They're still kind of saving that. So I think that they're going to start pulling some more stuff like that out of their bag of tricks in regards to this new crop of NXT stars after we've seen this big call-up. I think there's money left in this feud, but as we've kind of mentioned, they need to do something to differentiate these two teams. The Revival is pretty well established. As Curt said, they have that old school. They cut the ring in half, the quick tags, both of them working over a body part. It's not rocket science. It works. They're over, but I think that it's still going to take a little bit of work to really set Gargano and Ciampa up for being the number one fan favorite team in NXT. But hey, I'm looking forward to some more matches out of these guys.
Absolutely. And I think all those guys have a huge upside. I think they've got a lot of potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the next couple months. Following that, we had the NXT Women's Championship match, Asuka rematch against Bayley. That one was really interesting. I was surprised at how much they had Asuka just dominate through the entire thing almost.
Man, they have built Asuka up as a total killer. And that's what they need to have. Asuka is the final boss of NXT. That's what she is. You beat everybody else, and you get to her, and she beats the crap out of you.
She has an intensity.
It appeared to be a bit of a send-off to Bayley.
Yes.
So I think they did it. If it was a proper send-off. She put a valiant effort in, and who knows what it's going to take to stand up to Asuka at this point.
I agree. No, it wasn't totally one-sided. I mean, Bayley got some great. It was definitely a good match. It wasn't like Bayley was down the entire time.
Bayley kicked ass, man.
Yeah, she showed some fire.
She fired right up, man.
Which is difficult because, she's a good promo. She doesn't quite have that second gear when it comes to promos, but in the ring, she knows when to fire up and everything, which is tough considering the nature of her character.
Yes.
But she does it convincingly, and it's you wouldn't look at her and think oh yeah, she's an ass kicker. But once she gets in there,
I think that girl has dollar signs written all over her.
Yeah.
I mean,
merch. If you're a t-shirt company, as WWE kind of is, they're going to be selling a lot of "I'm a Hugger" shirts.
Yes.
And wristbands and the whole John Cena deal.
It's the same thing with Finn. Once she gets on the main roster, I think she's going to be one of the hottest things going.
Definitely. I mean,
I got it. Yeah.
That's something WWE's always tried to do, is get that one person who pleases both the marks and the kids. And I think that's Bayley. Like I said, dollar signs all over her.
Well, not to jump ahead too much, but it appears Sasha might be injured and Paige is out. So on the Raw side of things, probably would be a good time to bring Bayley in.
Probably, yeah.
I did notice.
Is that some breaking news? Sasha's, we had kind of mentioned that earlier.
He's out for a month.
I did notice too that after the match, if you listen to the audio, of course, to kind of jump ahead, Asuka ends up getting the victory. If you listen to whenever Bayley goes over to Sasha, it sounded like she said, "You're coming home," or "You're welcome home," or something like that. So,
did you see that the Izzy girl too? She said good luck to her. That's what she told her. So she's cool. Going, for sure. I gotta say too, I gotta jump in for a second about Bayley, because I was not completely. I remember before last year's Takeover Brooklyn, I remember just kind of going, she'd be involved in the 4-ways when Sasha was still down there and Charlotte, and I always thought she was pretty good. But when they left, I'm like, how good is she going to be, by herself? And then, but I mean, she had that match with Sasha last year, which was one of my favorite matches of the year. I mean, it was amazing. And then I went to, it was amazing. And then I went to NXT Dallas and I saw her and Asuka's first match, and it was just, again, amazing. And just like, like you guys were saying, she's absolutely money as far as the women's side goes, because she somehow incorporates, I mean, she's got the wrestling down to the point where she tells great stories in the ring and you feel for her character, and the whole hugger thing works for her because that's really who she is. You see interviews and stuff. She's so humble and just loves every minute of being a wrestler, and that completely radiates off her. And then
you can tell it's genuine.
Oh,
too.
Absolutely. And then when I completely agree that I was kind of leaning more towards her going to SmackDown because they're kind of light as far as just, they got Becky and Natalya and stuff. And I think she would, excel there. But with Sasha being out and stuff, even temporarily, I really think like she might be great for Raw. I mean, I kind of am leaning more towards that now, but I mean, she's going to do extremely well no matter what brand she goes on or what show she goes on. So
absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. And so we got the main event of NXT Takeover, the title match, Samoa Joe defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. Just what an intense match that was.
That entrance, man. My God.
Yeah, with the violinist playing along the
coolest entrances I've ever seen in the history of wrever.
Yes.
Like, it was very simple, not like a lot of
pyro.
pyro.
But that's all it takes, man. For somebody like me, it's like you hear that violin, and whose idea it was to just put that small little aspect. Like they tried it with Sting at WrestleMania 31.
Yeah, the taiko drums.
Yeah, and all it took though was just the violin and the dark, man, and the crowd singing along. It's awesome, man. It's super.
Yeah, that's such a catchy melody too.
Yeah, that's something Jack and I used to do when we'd go to wrestling matches, is sing along to Umaga's theme song and
Santino's.
And, people that didn't have any lyrics, but it was just Jack and I started a trend.
we would just start belting out just random noises. People would look at like, who are these two weirdos?
And then security would escort us out of there immediately.
I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen this gentleman with a crushed blue velvet blazer in my life. Yeah, we have pictures to prove it. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, as far as the entrance goes, just to kind of put a cherry on top of that, whenever you, as a fan, you get those goosebumps on your arm. It's almost like hearing a great song or something like that. Anytime you get goosebumps in some form of performing art, that it's something special. And I think that entrance with the violin player at NXT was that. And it really made me think to how awesome it's going to be eventually whenever you can take that and put it on an even bigger scale. Perhaps with a full orchestra or whatever it may be at WrestleMania, man. What a huge moment that is.
I was kind of hoping like Samoa Joe would have had like the Samoan fire dancers out there to kind of like match some of the entrances, but maybe they couldn't get that in time. That would have been pretty rad.
I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah, that would have been awesome. But
I mean, because that's what he grew up doing.
Yeah, that sounds like they would save that for WrestleMania probably. Whenever
I think they did that at like maybe one or two other times in like big TNA events that Samoa Joe would work. They would have stuff like that.
I think they did that at Bound for Glory, but hey, right. I thought it worked with Joe just walking out there and he was basically just pumping himself up. I'm the baddest, most dangerous man in NXT.
Yeah, I don't need no frills. I don't need any fancy entrances.
Yeah. And it worked. I mean, it was a great match. It didn't seem like overly reckless. I think there were a couple times where it's like Shinsuke almost like landed on his head or his neck, where I was like, ooh, I was a little worried about that.
That happens a lot when I watch NXT and WWE lately, where I'm cringing on their behalf, like, oh no, and I never used.
It's hard to watch. I mean, it's hard to watch like ladder matches and stuff like that because that those guys are just taking such a beating.
Well, now we know when you see people like Edge having to retire early, Christian too. Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
I think with these guys, though, I'm almost 100% sure that just based upon their history alone, that before that match, they went to each other, and there wasn't. I mean, maybe they didn't. Might not have even had to. But there's an understanding between those kind of guys who can go out there and throw some live rounds and make it look really believable and impactful. You know, those guys. Exactly. Strong. They're going out there and they're not, they're going to lay it in. And I think that's what really resonates on screen for some portion of the fans, myself included.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely something to be said for that. Nakamura ended up going over, which was really cool. I think it was cool to have, like, especially after the Asuka Bayley thing, to have like a strong babyface, go and make a big win. I thought that was a nice, note to end it on.
Kind of surprised me that he got the win, or he got the title already, considering it's only his third NXT Takeover event. But I felt like it's perfect timing. Like he needs.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredibly over.
Yeah, he's the man right now.
I mean, just almost instantly, really.
I mean, you got Asuka, you got Hideo Itami, Kota Ibushi, Akira Tozawa, all these big, like, Japanese guys are really putting on a good showing for themselves, and
somewhere like Yoshitatsu's kicking himself.
Kicking himself.
Yeah.
Oh,
it could have been me.
We got Funaki involved. He's doing commentary.
Yeah, he's the announcer and like a backstage guy, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. SmackDown's #1 announcer.
That's
Indeed.
Right. That's right.
All right. So let's move on to the main show, SummerSlam. I'm not going to bother going over the kickoff. We had a couple good matches there. I think, like Dudley Boys versus.
Actually, did watch the kickoff, which was
Dudley Boys versus Sami Zayn and
2 hours.
And Neville. That was pretty good.
About 2 hours into SummerSlam, I had to take a break because I did the kickoff.
Yeah.
All right.
It was a lot to get through. They had like a big, multiple man tag team thing, kind of typical stuff. And
those matches are always. SmackDown had 2 matches with the women, the 6 women tag, and that one. They just threw all their divas and all their tag teams together, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah, at least give them a payday or something.
No thought behind it, though. Just kind of like go out there and. I mean, that SmackDown one, on the pre-show, there was nobody there in the audience.
Apparently, Sheamus and Cesaro are doing a best-of-7 series.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
So
there's really nothing at stake. There's no title shot.
Yeah, just bragging rights, I guess. And it's, kind of like, I mean, who knows? Maybe that'll help them out. I mean, look at what it did for, like, Booker T and him who must not be named.
Yeah, I definitely got a kick out of Booker T trying to skirt around that topic on the pre-show.
Yeah. It's not easy, man. And actually, keeping with the pre-show, there was another match involving Sami Zayn and Neville versus the Dudley Boys, which now ties into an angle they're doing tonight on Raw. Where the
I had seen something about the Dudley Boys maybe announcing retirement. I don't know if that's a shoot.
That's crazy if that's their last match.
I don't know if I buy that.
Right.
We'll see. So we started off with I think Enzo and Cass against Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. Jericho.
Love Jericho, man. I love Enzo and Cass too, but I love Jericho now.
I know I'm a huge Jericho mark. Obviously, everybody knows that. But
hear about his podcast.
Like what he's doing right now, the character he's doing is just it is hilarious.
It's funny, man. Yeah, and Kevin Owens is the perfect
foil for that. Yeah, absolutely. The two of them just work so great together. They're just hilarious off the cuff.
Jericho, awesome name.
Yes.
Funny, man.
They're just both so Canadian.
Enzo and Cass had that long New York, all those New York references.
I mean, it was definitely pandering a little bit, but I mean, Enzo, it's...
And then who said Enzo's from Jersey? I think Corey Graves pointed out.
Yeah,
that was great.
He's not even from...
I tell you,
dude, Graves
Enzo
is
and
so
Cass,
good, too.
Yeah, man, Corey Graves is killing it.
Oh, yeah.
Corey Graves is like the second coming of Bobby Heenan. Like, he's a perfect heel announcer.
We need that, man. We have, like, Byron Saxton and all these guys. They're just so, like, David Otunga. They just kind of bleed together.
I feel like Graves is there to correct Michael Cole whenever he messes up, and then you've got Mauro Ranallo there to correct JBL every time he's calling a move or something like that. So
I love Ranallo too, man.
Oh yeah, so good.
His enthusiasm isn't that fake Michael Cole enthusiasm. It's manufactured and.
Oh yeah, he jumped out of his seat for a move. I can't remember when it was. He jumped out of his seat.
I see him in the background, man. He's hilarious.
I put him up there with JR and Joey Styles as some of my favorite play-by-play guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's great.
Joey Styles shit canned. I'm keeping with the.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why that happened.
I know what he said too. There's an interview on I think it was on WWE.com or something with Kathy Kelly, and she was asking him all these questions, and he kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to get fired for this. I'm going to get fired for this." He was, he's putting down Roman Reigns getting pushed and just saying things he shouldn't be saying. I think he kind of just find his own. That was his way of quitting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Joey's always been an outspoken guy, but I mean, he was doing a great job the last couple of years running the website and all this other stuff and doing behind the scenes stuff.
He's been off commentary and doing the website stuff. So
yeah,
that's strange. And now he's already working the indies. He's already made appearances over the weekend.
Oh, good for him. But yeah, so Jericho ended up winning, which I was surprised at. I mean, because Enzo and Cass are just insanely over right now.
Kind of a strange booking decision, but.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it'll hurt Enzo and Cass. I mean, those guys have money written all over them. Enzo's like one of the best promos in the company right now. He is incredible.
Dude, man, watching him dance around the ring and shit like that.
He's such a character. He's like what happens when you introduce meth into an Italian neighborhood.
I mean, the guy had the crowd rapping the first verse of
it was
Juicy.
all a dream.
Yeah, Juicy by Notorious B.I.G. last night. I mean, the guy has the crowd in the palm of his hands, and it's perfect that he has the big heater in Cass, who can back up all of his shit talking for.
He looks like what would happen if Captain Lou Albano cut a bunch of weight and joined a flock of seagulls.
You got these written down?
No, that was off the cuff.
They're perfect.
I didn't even mention Lamal from Kajagoogoo this time, so it's.
Lamal, who's the singer of the Never Ending Story theme song.
That's right.
You guys think Jericho, they're gonna get the classic combination of theme musics and get put together?
Oh,
like how they take their music, break the walls down, and then just go right into Kevin Owens, and then add a little Jericho
I mean, probably.
They always do.
I mean, it's always terrible, but, I don't know.
Yeah,
Big Show and Jericho's was funny, though. Big Show and Jericho, when it would just be like, Jericho!
Crank the walls down, I believe it was.
Yeah, they just recorded a new thing of it. They didn't, splice the two. It's just,
Crank the walls down.
This is not bad as, rated RKO's mashup thing.
Oh, boy.
That was weird. Anyways, so we move on to the women's championship match. Charlotte ended up winning from Sasha Banks, which maybe, as we're finding out now, maybe Sasha was injured or needed some time off, so she dropped the belt to Charlotte.
As I was clean, all the Facebook and Twitter marks were insisting that Sasha had been suspended, which is totally speculation.
Yeah.
And because people just immediately assume, why would they have her lose the title all of a sudden after 27 days? This is absurd. It's like, nobody could just lose a title now anymore.
Yeah.
It's wrestling. Stuff happens.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, that match, there were a couple spots in there where, I don't know if Charlotte was just blown up and excited or what, but...
Man. She kept doing power moves and she couldn't lift her up. It was getting kind of...
It was getting a little bit.
Is that or she was trying to sell a back injury, or it may have been a legit
and I sometimes wonder if I'm being too hard on them because last year the women's match was at WrestleMania and SummerSlam stole the show, so we're expecting big things from it. But they also put it on second on the card. It should have been later.
And that was annoying. I don't understand why they did that. They just were talking about how they just aired the Women Revolution special on the network
about the decisions on match placement on this.
Oh
yeah, there's going to be a lot of
I mean, look, let's be honest. We're always going to have issues like this when it comes to this stuff. No pay-per-view is ever going to be 100% perfect, especially one that's being run by Vince. But, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Overall, I thought it was a good show.
Sometimes they can get it right. NXT it always has the right pacing. It's only 6 matches.
Right. Well, that's because I don't think Vince has his hand in it. It's probably more Triple H's.
WrestleMania 17 is the best pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. As far as
I would agree.
And it's all had to do with the placement of the matches, man. It's pacing, timing. It's like any other kind of like writing a song. Like this goes here, this goes there. You don't.
I agree totally.
So
So Charlotte ended up winning clean, which was interesting. The Miz ended up beating Cruz. I forget. Was that like a screwy finish? What happened with Miz and Cruz? I'm trying to remember.
I think it involved Maurice distracting Apollo.
Yeah.
Oh God, how good did Maurice look? By the way,
I was going to say,
let's just
the two luckiest
guys.
men coming out of SummerSlam are the Miz and John Cena.
I need to take a guys. I just need a moment of silence for a second for Maurice's outfit. It's so good.
Her silence is being broken up by the sound of.
Okay, all right, I'm back. I got it out of my system. We're good. Anyways,
I don't think they made the right call here. I think they should have pulled the trigger on Apollo. I think it would have been a lot more energizing to the crowd if they would have given him a big win there, because I kind of felt like the show hit a bit of a lull at this point.
Right. No, I mean, I would have been fine with that.
I don't think people cared. Like, they didn't build this matchup at all. Like, they did not.
Say, if he had won the title, man, it would have been equivalent to Ezekiel Jackson winning the Intercontinental, which he did, and it was the same reaction. It was like, who gives a fuck?
By the way, Apollo Crews, he made his debut in NXT last year. I do have a few issues with his character, though. He's just, great athlete, really good worker in the ring.
Top smiling.
Dude is always smiling.
Top smiling. This match brought
even when he's supposed to be serious. Like, that just gets under my skin somehow. He's just
that Noel Foley thing going.
Yes, can't stop smiling.
I mean, and I get it. He's happy to be there, and that's great. I mean, he's a good worker, but there's just nothing to his character. He's just.
That's why, man. Like, for you to say, they could have given him the title, but I think they're trying to build him up. Although it could backfire because you could get the Roman Reigns deal where you try to force him down.
I just think he's a boring character.
Yeah. Well, there's not really. They haven't really gone in depth as far as to give him a character necessarily, other than this guy's, generic blue chip prospect here that we've got on the main roster.
That was the Rocky Maivia deal where he came in as a blue chipper.
Right.
So he could end up being huge 2 years from now. Headline being the biggest box office movie star 10 years.
It was interesting how JBL called him Uha Nation.
Yeah.
Or like worked that in there because that was his name on the indies.
Well, it sounds better than Apollo Creed that they keep calling him back down.
Yes.
Right.
Name is
God, poor Daniel Bryan. He's not going to live that down.
His name is obviously, from the moment he debuted, Apollo Creed and Terry Crews thrown together. Like, who doesn't see that?
Exactly. So next we had, one of the better matches on the card. I thought was AJ Styles and Cena.
Best match on the card.
That was incredible.
John Cena had the match of the night, but he absolutely did, man. You
Cena
gotta give
delivered.
It up.
He delivered.
It wasn't just AJ, man. AJ kicked ass, but like Cena is now, and I don't know what that deal was at the end of the match, not to jump ahead, but putting his, taking off his wristband or whatever.
You know what? I've been hearing about him wanting to go to a part-time schedule, and maybe there definitely seemed to be like a curtain call feel to it, to what he did, like almost
it's not a retirement, so to say, but like.
But like he's like kind of closing the book on a chapter.
The crowd wasn't booing him out of the building either, for one.
No.
Like it's finally.
I mean, they were when he came in, which it's kind of eye rolling at this point.
Though, that we're ready to cheer him now, and now he's gonna cheer less.
I love like that moment, and everybody's currently bashing a lot of matches for doing too many kickouts of finishers and all that. That's a huge topic everyone's talking about. But this match, it definitely made sense just for the fact that this was that culmination match between the two, and it makes sense that John Cena's the guy that he never gives up, obviously, like on his wristband or whatever. And it's like it made sense in this match. And I think other matches, you don't need a million kickouts of finishers in an IC title match that nobody is caring about because you didn't build it up. That doesn't make sense. But this match, it made perfect sense, and it was the perfect booking for this match. And the fact that AJ went over clean, absolutely loved it. It was so good.
And the way he went over at the end too, man.
Oh yeah,
he crunched him right in the face with that elbow. It was perfect.
So good.
Yeah.
Again, just a little bit early. It could have been later on in the night. And people would have, I don't know. I feel like these first 4 or 5 matches kind of sucked all the energy out of the room for a bit, out of a 4 hour.
I mean, say what you will, Cena is pretty consistent about having good, high quality pay per view matches. I think so. I mean,
well, Big Match John is how he got that nick.
Right, but I mean, that doesn't surprise me that he had a good match with AJ. I wasn't surprised at all.
This one just seemed better because there was no screwy finishes. I totally expected Jon Stewart, for whatever reason, to get involved again.
Oh, we're about to get into Jon Stewart.
Nice
segue, by the way. By the way, I love Jon Stewart.
I used to love Jon Stewart. Now I'm sick of him.
I was kind of rolling my eyes when he came out and the fans started booing him before he even did anything.
Yeah, because we knew it was going to be some bullshit, man. That's just taking. This is why Sheamus and Cesaro on the pre-show. It's because Jon Stewart's got to come out here and cut a promo for God knows.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely understand why, but at the same time, it's like, all the media is going to pick up. It's like, oh, these ignorant wrestling fans are booing Jon Stewart, which is like, oh, God, it's like, guys, don't do that.
Very unrehearsed on his, like, they just, go out there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart is to SummerSlam what Pete Rose was to WrestleMania.
Yes.
So that means Jon Stewart's in the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame this year in Orlando.
Oh, it's gonna happen eventually.
I'm okay with it.
That could be a good speech, possibly.
I'm actually okay with Jon Stewart if he's gonna be there more often, full time, because he's not doing the Daily Show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has other stuff going on besides hanging out with
WWE. Put him in a backstage
WWE.
announcing role. That would be hilarious, but we're not gonna see it.
No, that's never gonna happen. But he's obviously a fan. He and his son are always there, and he's good on the mic. I mean, he's clearly passionate about it.
I feel like he's doing it just so his kid can get backstage, walk around and shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh, probably.
I would. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but he's great. It was just an awkward placement. Like, he didn't need to be in the part of the match.
No,
like,
it's very Monday night.
Backstage or something.
Monday Night Raw 2009 guest host GM type deal, where it's like, why are we seeing SummerSlam?
Exactly.
It didn't exactly help that we had 2 guys in lab coats carrying what was supposed to be testicle juice out to the ring either.
That's Big E drank it like.
Big E drank it. He drank it. He chugged the friggin' testicle juice. What are you doing, Big E? You maniac!
I love how they even called it out. Corey Graves was like, "Okay, is no one else going to say anything why Big E just drank formaldehyde?"
Formaldehyde.
That's perfect. Yeah, so it was like a DQ, like non-finish, which would not be the last crazy non-finish we would have in the show.
Was it a DQ?
But
oh, that's right.
Yeah, I guess Big E was out
Big E came
3 weeks for some reason.
Did anybody think like that didn't make any sense though that he came out at the end? It's like if he's healthy and ready to go, why did he wait till the end? That made no sense.
It made even less sense that he came out dressed wearing the same colors as the other 2 guys, like he was dressed to compete.
Right, he was just waiting back there.
Was he stuck in traffic but happened to be dressed
Wait a minute,
to go?
you guys got all dressed backstage together and he didn't come out until the end?
It didn't exactly help the element of surprise that he was also at SummerSlam all weekend doing appearances and all that. So
because
Stewart,
wrestling logic.
They had Jon Stewart do his part of New York City,
which was
don't awful. You dare beat that one.
Does anybody ever? And I was talking to people I was watching the show with, but has New Day? And I think New Day is a funny act, and obviously they sell a ton of merch and people love them. But have they had like a great match in all the time that they've really been a stable and been like the champions? Like they're never that match where you're like, oh man, that New Day match was great.
They've
like
been it for a year now too, a full year.
Yeah, and they just I can't think of one New Day match where I go, that New Day match was awesome. That was one of the best matches on my card. It never is, ever.
They're kind of like a Santino Marella comedy act.
Yeah, they're a comedy act. I mean, they're coming up on longest reign. I mean, they got a ways to go for Demolition, but I mean, they've held the belts for so long, and it's like, especially, I mean, they've got talented people, in the group. I don't understand why their matches never seem to hit as far as being that standout match on a card or anything. I don't know.
I think just their stuff gets downplayed. I think that's why it happens. Just it gets overshadowed.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that they were going to drop the belts last night to the Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah,
like,
I did too.
Yep.
But they're saving it. I don't know for who
Yeah.
for.
So later we had Dean Ambrose against Dolph Ziggler. Ambrose won clean.
Another weird match. Another kind of.
It's a good match, but it's like, where does Ziggler go from here? You know.
Well, and it might just be everything else that we had seen up until this point. It was just like amazing, and then you're just like just a standard SmackDown. All the SmackDown matches seem kind of tainted to me.
They need to turn him heel. Like that's.
I'm not really sure what happened at this point in the night, but if you go back and listen to the audio, the crowd just did not pop for anything in this match. They weren't popping for the near falls.
It's exhaustion, man. It's the same way. At this point in the show, I turned it off and came back to it today. You know, it was just like, all right, can't say I care too much about the outcome of this match, and I don't know why.
Nobody thought. I don't think anybody thought that Ziggler had a chance. Like even in if you watch the pre-show, every single person on the pre-show picked Dean Ambrose to win, and they didn't build it like Dolph Ziggler was a legitimate threat to Dean Ambrose at all. And I think that's why people just kind of sat on their hands.
They pretty much called him a loser the entire time.
If we're going to talk about gimmicks, can we talk about like what exactly is Dolph Ziggler's gimmick? Like for years now, he's like HBK, badass Billy Gunn, but like he's a hybrid of all. And now he's saying Triple H's old catchphrase. I'm that damn good.
Yeah. I can't stand the Shawn Michaels stuff, like, cause I'm such a big Shawn Michaels fan.
Yeah,
I'm like, it makes me so mad when I saw him, like, you know, tuning up the band. I'm just like, what are you doing?
And Dean Ambrose did it mocking him.
Yeah.
Not even realizing he's mocking HBK.
Right.
I'm sure he realized it.
Well, I mean, unintentionally.
Ambrose doing the little Rick Rude hip swivel deal there in the middle of the match, ridiculing Ziggler. I thought that was pretty.
If that Dolph Ziggler is just a hybrid of all these wrestlers, like, you know, Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude, all these guys he pays homage to, but it's very confusing. Who are we cheering for and why?
Ambrose was wrestling like a heel. I mean, Ambrose was taunting him the whole time. I mean, he was doing heel the entire time.
Like a heel, man, wearing the wife beater and jeans. That's very heelish.
I mean, I don't know what we're supposed to do. Everybody cheers Dean Ambrose because they like Dean Ambrose, but then all the promos leading up to it, and then in the ring, he is the heel in this match. It's like Dolph Ziggler's the one fighting to win because everyone says that he can't do it, and Dean Ambrose is the one laughing in his face saying, "Who do you think you are?"
Ambrose just won that title at Money in the Bank after cashing in. It's like, I don't think he would drop the title at SummerSlam already.
No.
I think so all these things taken into consideration is kind of why the crowd was the way it was for this match. It was kind of like
that. I think that and the fact that Dolph Ziggler really hit his peak probably, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that, and they completely
when he cashed in Money in the Bank. When he cashed in after WrestleMania, that was his moment. I mean, that place, he was never more popular than he was that night. That was it.
That was WrestleMania 29, so that was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Well, anyways, let's move on to the 6-woman tag. I mean, that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
well, it was another.
Christina's giving me the cue, like, come on, wrap this up already. She's making the run in. So I'm gonna go with it quick. They had the Eva Marie thing, which was very strange considering the suspension deal.
To showcase her was the point of this match.
Yeah, that was.
Now it's starting to blur the lines between, is this an angle?
Yeah.
Is she really suspended? I don't know why they would play that card if she wasn't. It seems strange to bring up wellness policy.
Yeah.
Implications, but Nikki Bella, man, she looked good. Welcome back.
Yeah. Yeah, she did.
John Cena's a lucky man, and John Laurinaitis will someday be her father-in-law.
That's true, and all will be right with the world. Anyway. So anyway, Finn Balor and Seth Rollins.
Great match.
Great match. Horrible crowd reaction.
Doesn't matter.
The crowd farted all over it. Yeah, and now it's all basically null and void.
It never even happened.
Yeah, now Finn Balor vacates the title. I haven't really been keeping up on Raw, but it looks like they're doing some kind of contendership thing with a bunch of guys. So
yeah, they're doing a tournament, and surprisingly, Seth Rollins is already qualified. Shockingly.
And how about them completely spoiling the outcome of the match by informing us in the middle of the match that Finn had flown his parents and his sister in from Ireland?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why else would he do that if he wasn't going to win the big title?
Right.
I mean, I guess.
I didn't even pick
but
up
like
on
people
that.
raised a big stink over how the belt looked. I'm like, really?
Well,
I mean,
because now you got the WWE Championship, which will be blue, the Women's Championship, which is white, and then they're all the same belt. It's a kind of overkill.
I mean, who cares though?
Somebody said it was
Like,
fun.
is it really that big of a deal? I mean, okay.
It was once that Finn Balor and Charlotte got crowned the WWE Tag Team Champions last night, or the Women's.
Yeah, no,
Champions.
I saw that meme. It was just, I was angry about it because like Finn should have had a better reaction, and it's like they were like booing him,
I think,
and it was just total
But here's
bullshit.
another one. When you're dressed up like a demon, like, is that heel or? I mean, I know that it's babyface, but to the casual fan who has no idea who the fuck Finn Balor is, we're supposed to cheer for this Demon King guy. Like, it's very, I don't know, kind of blurs the lines of.
I mean, I guess. I mean, maybe people were confused. I don't know, but like they were cheering Rollins, and it was
Maybe they were
weird.
expecting Kane because they kept saying the Demon King.
I doubt it. That was a smart crowd. That's a Brooklyn crowd. They knew who he was.
I think
They're
yeah.
too smart a crowd. That's the problem with this crowd is they know way too much.
I
And
think
they
the
make-
problem is that like you just said, it was a smart crowd. But whenever you have that, WWE spent so much time recently trying to build up that Raw and SmackDown are going to be two different brands and competing brands, and I think that the disappointment with the belt came, at least for me personally, I feel like they could have done something with the belt to really differentiate it from SmackDown and make it something different. And I think
they have a globe on it or something, man. Like back in the
they
day.
could have done anything. I mean,
Yep.
but
I guess. I mean, I don't.
It,
I
I mean,
don't care.
this is nitpicking shit that obviously doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
It really doesn't.
business-wise, from a branding standpoint, it makes sense. You put the WWE logo all over everything, but
I did not want the big gold belt to come back. I'm done with that belt.
no, I likewise. But it's like we kind of said, everybody just this match kind of fell short as a main event, whether it was Burnout.
Speaking of things that nobody cares about, how about Rusev versus Roman Reigns?
Good Lord, why was this the second
It's
to
just
last match
worse.
on the card?
Yeah,
That's the most.
Here's a way to not, to tell if your angle's not working. Let's look at it from an objective point of view. According to this storyline, Rusev and Lana just get married, and this guy Roman Reigns interrupts their ceremony thing, and Lana gets cake on her face, and so Rusev is mad at Roman, and we're supposed to cheer Roman even though he was kind of a dick about it in the first place.
This was their last ditch attempt at making Roman Reigns somewhat relevant after his suspension. But it's for the United States Championship, which never needs to be that late in the card. Above the new Universal, they already shat on the Universal Championship by not having it the last match of the card, or second to last.
And I guess the finish, they were trying to make him seem like a badass, like he just beat Rusev so bad they had to stop the match.
Are unable to. This reeked at me of they fucked up on timing. They didn't have enough time, so they just, all right, let's just send them out there and do a whatever you call it.
Yeah. So I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's just it was just bad.
Talk about it as long as the match actually was.
yes,
Pretty much. And okay, so the last one, Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton.
Lord,
That was
damn
uncomfortable to watch.
is it legit? Is that head? What do you guys think? Was it a blade job?
I don't know, but
no,
Brock seems like the kind of guy to go off script if he wants to, and would just stiff the crap out of whoever he's
I
working
think
with.
whoever he's in the ring with tells him it's okay.
I think that was the case. I think Orton basically said, "Yeah, let's go out there and let's make people talk." There's no way he's just going to lay an elbow in like that without clearing it. I mean, he could if he wanted to.
Dude, go back and watch his first match back in 2012 with Cena.
With Cena, he did this. Yep, exact same thing. I think he did it on the ring steps.
Which again, this is a slight gripe of like 4 years into his second run, and we're still seeing the same type of match from Lesnar. He just 17 German suplex.
I mean, he's just such an unstoppable monster. I mean, it's hard to have like a credible opponent for him.
I think that's the whole attraction. He's just a monster.
So why not make him the champion and just never have him lose? He's the Universal Champion, and he's never at Raw, but he's not.
I mean, they did that for a little bit last year, but
he should still be the champion. Like, he should never, ever lose. He should be champion longer than Bruno Sammartino.
Oh, there is that whole wellness policy thing.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't affect him. That was
apparently not.
I believe that's apparently a clause in his contract because he's a part-timer.
Yeah, and that was a UFC that was outside of WWE, which is crazy, but...
Apparently they went, Brock, you're suspended. He went, no, I'm not. And they're like, maybe you're not.
Whatever you say, big guy.
All I can say, too, the end part with Shane coming out, all that made me wish so much was that Daniel Bryan was able to take bumps, and he was the one to do it, and then it led to a match with Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar. That would have just... that's the match that Daniel Bryan always wanted, and for him to come out and be like smaller Daniel Bryan, but stand up to Brock to go check on him, and then for him to, hit, it'd be so awesome, but unfortunately we're not going to get that.
I kind of expected Brock to just start F5 at everybody, referees, and it was a very anticlimactic ending to his pay-per-view, especially SummerSlam, dude. Like,
everybody was chanting Goldberg, right? Everybody was thinking Goldberg was going to come out.
Yeah, that's going to happen at some point. I don't know when, I don't know how, but that at least they're talking to the Goldberg about that stuff.
Well,
I mean,
the new WWE 17 video game is pre-order, and every year that person ends up showing up at WrestleMania.
Gotcha. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I mean, overall, I was satisfied with both of them. I mean, they weren't perfect, but it was a good SummerSlam. I was satisfied.
One of the weirdest bookings for order of matches I've ever seen.
Yes,
but,
I got to pick.
Do we get thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs up,
in the middle.
I felt like start to finish, Takeover was the better show. It has been all these other times.
Yeah, no surprise.
SummerSlam was good, but again, whenever you book a card to be like 6 hours long, you're going to experience some problems. So I think that's something WWE could tighten up on and start giving NXT its own internal brand run for its money.
Well, I'm really curious to see just how the new pay-per-views, how they're going to be their own brands. You're going to have your Raw and your SmackDown, how those are going to play out and how timing-wise they're going to do and who's going to be in the matches. And then, to me, they're going to be more on par now with the NXT events because you're going to have, to me, I think it's going to be, shorter match cards, but maybe some longer matches. So I'm
really,
something like that.
I don't know how I feel about there's another pay-per-view coming up. 3 weeks.
It's
right. And then another.
It's getting to be a lot. There's no way we're going to be able to cover them all. But
they really expect people to just watch this shit for hours on end, and it's just frustrating. Like, make it good, and maybe I'll think about it.
Let's be honest. We're going to watch them anyway.
That's what fast forward is for.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we'll wrap it up here. Guys, do you want to go ahead and plug anything? Cory, you're over at chronocord.com.
That's right, chronocord.com. You can hit us up there, as well as youtube.com/chronocord. If you need any kind of audio production or any kind of recording services, multimedia services, we got you covered.
There you go. And Curt, do you want to go ahead and plug your social media here?
Yeah. It's you mentioned earlier I'm on the Music Speaks podcast with my friend Eric and your friend Eric, but he's been a little busy. He's about to have his first kid, so we haven't had a recording for a while, so he's prepping for that. But Music Speaks podcast. We put links on Facebook and everything as well. So check that out if you can. If you're a music lover. And I'm also going to be on your movie podcast as well. So
of course, yeah. I'm planning on adding Curt to the movie panel as well. Brian, I'm assuming you don't want to be found.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Get Off My Lawn. Fuck off.
That's not real.
Leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered.
That's not really your Twitter.
.org.
Yeah, is any of that real?
Hashtag you kids and your
No. Okay.
Dan Fogelberg records and your hula hoops and your Zima.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
Crust.
All right, guys. Well, this has been great. Everyone listening, what do you think of SummerSlam and NXT Takeover? Tweet us with the hashtag Phoenix Report. You can follow me online at JackXConnor on Twitter, Facebook.com/JackConnorMusic. You can always email me at jackconnorpodcast@gmail.com. Check out my band, vertebreaker.net. And definitely keep subscribing, like it, leave a comment, go back and listen to all the other episodes. For Brian, Curt, and Cory, this has been the Phoenix Report. I'm Jack Connor, and if I could borrow Cory's catchphrase, don't forget to kick out at 2.
Woo!